Okay, so get ready because today we are diving deep into one of the most talked about murder cases of the 21st century.
Buckle up, folks.
Yeah.
It's a wild ride.
We are talking about the murder of Travis Alexander. So first picture this. June 2008, Mesa, Arizona. This young guy, Travis, like a super outgoing motivational speaker. Everyone loved this guy.
Seems like the kind of person who would light up a room.
Totally. But then 5 days later, he's found dead in his shower.
Yeah, not just dead, brutally murdered.
And that's what makes this whole thing just so disturbing. We're talking 27 to 29 stab wounds.
A gunshot to the head.
His throat was even slashed. I mean, come on, just the sheer violence of it.
It really makes you question, like, what could possibly lead to that kind of rage?
Exactly. And that's what we're going to unpack today. What happened between Travis Alexander and his ex-girlfriend, Jodi Arias?
A relationship that went very, very wrong.
So let's start with the evidence. What made investigators suspect Jodi right away?
Well, there was a history of problems between them, a very volatile relationship, to say the least. And of course, there was physical evidence linking her to the crime scene.
Right.
But the smoking gun, so to speak, was the camera.
The camera?
Yeah, the one found in the washing machine.
What?
They recovered deleted photos, pictures of Travis and Jodi from the actual day of the murder.
No way.
Even some photos accidentally taken during the attack. I mean, talk about incriminating.
Oh, that's crazy. It's like something out of a horror movie.
Yeah.
Okay, but here's the thing I don't get. Jodi's story kept changing.
Oh, yeah.
First, she's all, I wasn't even in Arizona. Then it's intruders did it. And she finally admits to killing him, but says it was self-defense. What's with all the lies?
Right. So that's actually what makes this case a goldmine from a psychological perspective. People change their stories all the time in criminal cases, sure. But the way Jodi's story evolved, that's not your average fib. It's fascinating.
So you're saying there's more to it than just, trying to get away with murder?
It's possible her initial denial was pure panic. I wasn't there, nothing to do with me. Distance herself from the crime. But then she comes up with this elaborate story about intruders that kind of suggests a level of premeditation that's seriously unsettling.
So maybe it wasn't a heat-of-the-moment thing after all.
Potentially.
Right.
And that takes us down a whole other rabbit hole.
It's like she was trying to control the narrative, even if it meant making stuff up.
Exactly. And here's where it gets even trickier. If we entertain the self-defense angle for a second, we have to ask, what kind of threat could possibly justify that level of violence? Because the evidence just doesn't really back that up.
Right. And the whole thing, this case, it wasn't just some quiet courtroom drama.
Oh, no, not at all.
The trial starts in January 2013, and boom, instant media frenzy.
24/7 coverage.
It was like everyone was glued to their screens, every little detail, every twist and turn. The whole world was obsessed with Jodi Arias.
It definitely had shades of the O.J. Simpson trial. Something about it just captured the public's imagination.
I guess so.
I mean, you had the brutality of the crime itself, the fact that both Travis and Jodi were, young and attractive.
Yeah.
That always makes for a more captivating story. And then you've got the media fanning the flames, analyzing every piece of evidence, every facial expression, every word spoken. It becomes a form of entertainment almost, a spectacle.
It's pretty scary how a real-life tragedy can turn into something like that, like a TV show.
For sure.
But okay, let's get back to the legal stuff. So Jodi's found guilty of first-degree murder in May 2013. But then there are 2 mistrials during the sentencing phase before she finally gets life in prison without parole in April 2015. What's the deal with those mistrials?
That's a good question. And it really highlights how complex the legal system can be, especially with these high-profile cases. I mean, the jurors have a huge responsibility. Weighing the evidence, dealing with the emotional weight of the crime, then trying to figure out a just punishment. Those mistrials suggest that even with all the evidence stacked against Jodi, there were still some lingering doubts, like it wasn't a clear-cut decision.
Wow. So it's not always as simple as just guilty or not guilty.
Nope. It's about trying to make sense of something horrific, trying to find a way to hold someone accountable, but also making sure it's done fairly within the law. It's not easy.
Like a lot to think about.
It is.
And it's not over when the verdict comes in.
Exactly.
This case, it spawned documentaries, books, even TV dramatizations.
People are still fascinated by it.
And for good reason. This whole thing, it just stays with you. It raises these really uncomfortable questions about human nature. Like, how well can we ever truly know the people we're closest to? What could possibly push someone to do something so extreme? We've laid out the brutal facts, the lies, the media circus, the legal back and forth, but really this is just scratching the surface.
There's a lot more to unpack.
Think about the psychology behind it all, the motivations, the role the media played. It's a deep dive that could go on forever.
And that's the point. Keep thinking. Keep questioning.
Don't just take our word for it. Do your own research. Come to your own conclusions. This case will keep you thinking for a long time.
Absolutely.
And that's it for this deep dive. Thanks for listening.
Until next time.